Washington Post columnist Richard Cohen is no stranger to controversy, but the latest furor over his remarks on mixed-race marriage has been especially fierce. Critics want Cohen axed, but he says he's not getting a fair shake. Adam Riley has more.
This recent Richard Cohen column tried to explain the Tea Party's worldview, saying its members are not racist, but deeply troubled about the mainstreaming of what used to be the avant-garde. Case in point, New York Mayor-elect Bill de Blasio. People with conventional views, Cohen wrote, must repress a gag reflex when considering the mayor-elect of New York, a white man married to a black woman and with 2 biracial children. The backlash was fierce.
This is a cry for help.
For starters, Cohen's critics say he's factually wrong, noting that 84% of whites approve of black-white marriages. And then there's Cohen's sweeping insult of Tea Partiers.
Basically, he's saying, hey, you got to cut the Tea Party some slack because they can't think straight because they're trying too hard not to vomit when they see a black guy with a white girl.
This isn't Cohen's first ruckus over race. For example, praising the movie 12 Years a Slave, Cohen lamented growing up thinking that many blacks were sort of content under slavery. Now some critics want Cohen fired, but he says they're overreacting.
Cohen told the Huffington Post that the word racist is truly hurtful, saying it's not who I am, it's not who I ever was.
Post editorial page editor Fred Hyatt calls Cohen terrific, but concedes he himself should have edited that sentence about gagging at interracial couples more carefully. That may be an understatement.
Well, my reaction to this was that both instances, both columns, were incredibly stupid and insensitive. But to take it to the next level and charge racism, I think is hardly overcharged. And his character is, as you know, he's the big liberal voice, and he's been there forever. He's gotten himself in trouble. But to characterize a whole citizenry of people, namely the Tea Party, that's what he was trying to do, saying that they are so out there that they can't even accept interracial marriage. How does he know? He doesn't know anything about that. And as the Gallup poll shows, most people do approve of it. But I wouldn't go that next step. I just wouldn't. I thought both of them, including the comments about 12 Years a Slave, was just unsophisticated. I mean, has he not read history? I mean, how could he not know that? To me, it was a level of stupidity.
You know, I read his column in full several times, and I did not take that section as commenting on the Tea Party. I took it as this extra thing was kind of rattling around his head, and he just had to get it out. He wasn't talking about the Tea Party. He was talking about people with conventional views. He's now trying to say after the fact that it applied to the Tea Party. You know, it's easy to say he's racist or not racist. I think that what's clear, he has been a dismal voice on the national scene for a long time. That at any time over the last 10 or 20 years, it would have been welcome to see him depart, and this is as good a time as any.
I mean, he's had that job for 3 decades and is 72 years old and is as good an argument for term limits for newspaper columnists as you can imagine, I think. I think reading the column, I don't think it was he was not trying to communicate a racist thought. I think the problem that he had was that he was so far. There's a great video online by a guy named Jay Smooth talking about how there's a difference between saying someone is a racist and saying someone does racist things. Saying someone is a racist it does come across as an attack and it sort of shuts down the conversation. But saying that anyone who doesn't approve of interracial marriage is not a racist, that's wrong. People who don't approve of interracial marriage are racists. That's what they are. And we attach so much to the label of racist, and it's such an easy thing to run away. How dare you call me a racist? That he bent over backwards to proclaim something that I think was just dumb. And I think this would be a wonderful time for him to step off the national stage.
Callie, you go next.
Well, he's not going anywhere, as he said, and I couldn't echo more with what Josh has said. Julianne Hough, by all accounts, lovely woman. She wore blackface, for Halloween. Hello, how about some history? How about some understanding? That was racist. I don't care how nice she is. That was racist. What he wrote was racist, period. And we're in the business of, even with columnists, of having accuracy at the basis of our opinion. So the facts say according to the polls and what's happening now in 2012, Richard Cohen, that's not the conventional view. So you're wrong there. So I can't even appreciate your point of view, even if that is your point of view, because you started from something that was inaccurate. So we got to hold, even though he gets a wide berth, because he is a columnist. And I got to say that, because a lot of people are going to write me and say, he should be gone. Well, the man's a columnist. That's what he gets paid to do, is to say whatever he thinks. But it's supposed to be based on some facts. And in a publication like the Washington Post, I would not expect the guy who edits him to call him a terrific columnist if he has been flat out wrong in the way that he begins writing his opinion. And on top of that, what he said on the last two columns certainly were racist. And we can go back further. Ta-Nehisi Coates in The Atlantic has outlined chapter and verse of the stuff that the guy has written over the years, including one of the major boycotts against the Washington Post, when he wrote, I agree with the shop owners that they should lock the doors against young black men. I mean, the whole town of Washington went crazy. The Washington Post lost a lot of subscribers. So you've got to pay attention to what this guy is writing, even if it is his opinion. And it was racist.
No, well, Ta-Nehisi Coates' column and assessment of this was really, I think, thoughtful. Would recommend people go look it up. But I think, unfortunately, Richard Cohen's real person came through. I hate to say it's because he's 72 years old, because Lord knows we're going to all be there. Maybe sooner, some of us sooner than later. I don't think you get stupid when you turn 70, and let's hope not anyway. But certainly the choice of words that he used, conventional. I mean, what a terrible choice of words. There's no way you can later go on back and say that, because it really came up. But to the question of should he be fired over that, I'd be really troubled about whether the Post should fire him. I think what's going to happen, he will start losing some of his syndication, some of those in the syndicate. That signal will come through loud and clear, and the syndicate will say to him, look at Richard, we're losing money on you, it's time to go. And the marketplace, so to speak, is going to take care of this. That's the way I'd like to see it.
By the way, we're going to post both of those columns on our website, wgbh@beatthepress.org, so people can go and...
And I just want to make it clear that 72 doesn't bother me. The fact that he's 72, there's some sharp 72-year-olds writing some stuff I read and think about thoughtfully all the time. So it's not his age, even though we could argue that being in one place for that long a period of time, when you're covering the changing mores and society issues, maybe is not a good thing for a columnist. I don't know. I'm not answering that question. But his age is not bothering me.
He can't write and he can't think.
Well, now that's right. Send the email to Dan Kennedy.